The quiet man by the elevatorthy rain was falling gently on the glass windows of the Marlowe Tower, a high-rise in downtown Los Angeles that sparkled under stormy clouds. The streets below shimmered with wet lights and distant horns. Inside, everything was sleek and modern, but one man stood quietly in the corner, out of place yet unseen. Keanu Reeves, dressed in a plain gray hoodie and black cargo pants, stood by the elevator of floor 32. He wasn't holding a briefcase. He wasn't checking his phone. He wasn't talking to anyone. To most people in the building, he was just another maintenance guy or maybe private security. But EWASN single quotes T. Keanu had been hired to work as a night shift consultant for systems security. What the building staff didn't know was that the real reason he was there had nothing to do with surveillance cameras or firewall protocols. It had everything to do with the man in the office behind the frosted glass wall, Mr. Elliot Grant, the CEO of Nova Biotech, one of the world's leading pharmaceutical companies. Elliot was a man known for his brilliance and also for the powerful enemies he had made. Recently, he had turned down a multi-billion-dollar deal with a shadowy international group that wanted to buy one of his patented cancer treatments. He refused their offer because he wanted to keep the medicine affordable. Since then, the threats had begun, but Elliot was proud. He refused a full security detail. He didn't want a babysitter shadowing his every move. His team begged him, his board warned him, and finally, his sister, who happened to be friends with someone Keanu had once saved years ago, reached out to him with one request, just one man, silent, invisible, trained. Keanu Reeves. And tonight, Keanu's instincts were on high alert. He watched every person walk down the corridor. He noticed a janitor pass by twice without emptying any bins. He noticed a delivery man walk in with a food bag, but no one had ordered dinner. He noticed a woman who walked by wearing heels, but her gait was wrong. She moved like someone trained in combat boots. Keanu single quotes S eyes narrowed. He didn't speak. He didn't panic. He pressed the elevator button and waited, but he didn't get in. He was counting how many people were now on this floor. 8 that he had not seen before in the building. None had the right badges. None spoke. None made eye contact. Something was about to happen. Inside the office, Elliot Grant was finishing up a video call with a global health panel. He looked exhausted but hopeful. He had just signed off on a decision to give away thousands of life-saving doses of Nova's medicine to children in war-torn countries. He felt good about his choice, proud even. But he didn't know what was waiting outside his door. Keanu took a small step back and leaned against the wall. He saw the woman in heels tap her ear. A tiny movement, barely there, a signal. Keanu slowly lowered his hand toward his boot. That was when the lights went out. The entire floor plunged into darkness. No one screamed. No one panicked. It was to control. To plan. Within seconds, the emergency lights flickered on dimly, casting red shadows down the hallway. Keanu was gone from his spot. Elliot stood up in his office. "Hello," he called out. "Security?" But no one answered. That's when 3 figures entered the room fast, silent, like wolves. Elliot tried to back away, but was grabbed. A bag was shoved over his head. A needle pushed into his arm. "Move," one voice said coldly. They started to drag him. They didn't see Keanu drop down from the ceiling above the hallway like a shadow. In a single silent motion, he landed, rolled forward, and in 3 strikes disabled the man dragging Elliot by the shoulder. The second attacker turned, knife drawn, but Keanu disarmed him with a sweeping kick and caught the blade midair. The third attacker pulled a gun. A soft breath. Keanu's fingers moved like water. Disarm, dislocate, silence. Elliot was unconscious. Keanu grabbed him gently and moved him into a closet-sized data room. He pressed a button on his wristwatch. The screen lit up with a countdown. 9 minutes. 9 minutes until the entire building went into lockdown mode. He knew more were coming. These 3 were the distraction, but he also knew something else now. This wasn't just a kidnapping attempt. This was war, because on the arm of one of the attackers, he saw a small tattoo, not just ink, a symbol, one he had seen in Afghanistan when he was with the special forces, A black crescent within a red triangle. It meant one thing. Shadow arced out a group so dangerous, even global agencies refused to speak their name publicly. They didn't just go after money, they went after influence. They toppled governments with fear, bought scientists, and silenced anyone who stood in their way. And now they wanted Elliot Grant. But Keanu had seen too many people die because others stayed quiet. He wasn't going to let that happen again. Not tonight. Keanu dragged the unconscious attackers into a janitor's room and locked them in. Then he returned to the hall, moving like a ghost. His military training took over. No panic. Only purpose. He knew he had to move Elliot. He picked the CEO up and slung him over his shoulder. Then he heard it. A ping from the emergency stairwell. They were here. The real team. He had maybe for minutes before they reached this floor, and they wouldn't hesitate to shoot anyone in their way. He ducked into a server room, typed a quick override code into the backup generator system, and activated smoke protocols. It wasn't fire, but it would look like one. Alarms blared. Sprinklers hissed. Chaos. As smoke filled the hallway, Keanu moved through the fog like a shadow. Elliot still unconscious on his back. He reached the elevator shaft, forced open the maintenance panel, and looked down. 32 floors. He didn't blink. He tied a harness around Elliot, then around himself, and clipped both onto the maintenance pulley cable. He began to descend slowly, hand over hand, bracing his feet against the wall. A gunshot rang out above. More were coming. Faster now. Keanu dropped 5 floors before forcing open a door to floor 27. He rolled out, placed Elliot gently on the ground, and checked his pulse. Steady, breathing normal. The sedative hadn't gone to deep, but he didn't have long. He heard boots above, fast, tactical. Keanu stood in front of Elliot and waited. When the door burst open, they didn't see Keanu move, but they felt it. He disarmed the first man before he had a chance to fire. The second went down with a pressure point strike. The third he spared, letting him crawl away in fear, because sometimes fear spread faster than pain. Keanu turned and looked at Elliot, who was slowly waking up. What's happening? Elliot whispered. Keanu crouched beside him and looked him in the eye. You're safe, but you need to listen. Who are you? Keanu paused. Someone who believes what you're doing is worth protecting. But Elliot was still groggy, his mind swirling. Keanu knew he had to get him to a safer place. He checked his watch. 2 minutes left. He picked Elliot up again, made his way to the backup elevator hidden behind the utility corridor, and used the code he had memorized from the building's old schematics. They began to descend, just as gunshots echoed above. But they were gone, for now. What Keanu didn't know yet was that one of the attackers had managed to escape and had sent a message not just to Shadow Arc, but to the world. And what happened next would change everything. The man in the shadows. Night air outside the Marlowe Tower was thick with tension. The city moved on as if nothing had happened. People walked their dogs. Taxis rushed by. Restaurants stayed open late. But deep underground, in a hidden garage far beneath street level, KeanuReeves was watching over a man who didn't yet know how close he had come to death. Elliot Grant slowly opened his eyes. His mouth felt dry. His head was spinning. Where am I? He asked in a hoarse whisper. Keanu stood near the far wall, arms folded, watching him quietly. Safe, he said softly. Elliot blinked at the dim light. They were in a maintenance room. Cold concrete, no windows, just a metal table, and some storage boxes. It didn't look like a hospital or a hotel. You saved me, Elliot muttered, trying to sit up. Keanu moved to help him. Stay down for now. The sedative is still in your system. Who sent you? Keanu didn't answer right away. He poured a glass of water and handed it to him. You have enemies. Someone close to you asked me to keep watch. Elliot took a long sip, then looked at him carefully. Who are you? Keanu didn't give his name. He rarely did. I'm the man they didn't see coming, he replied calmly. Elliot leaned back, eyes wide. They were professionals, trained. They moved like special ops. They were. And they didn't come to scare you. They came to take you. For ransom, no. Keanu said with a cold edge in his voice. For silence. Elliot frowned. What do you mean? Keanu lowered his voice. You're developing a formula, one that could cure late-stage cancer in children. Your decision to keep it affordable, refusing to sell it to Shadow Arc put you on their list. They want the formula. If they can't buy it, they'll take you, or worse. Elliot's face paled. But I don't keep the formula on me. It's encrypted, stored in a secure vault. They wouldn't get anything. Keanu gave a grim smile. They don't need you to give it to them. They just need you to disappear. The panic that follows would shut your company down. My God, Elliot whispered. Keanu moved toward a wall and pulled a lever. A hidden door opened, revealing a narrow tunnel. We have to move, Keanu said. Your name's already on a dark web bounty list. If Shadow Arc knows you survived, they'll come harder next time. But where are we going? Keanu looked over his shoulder. To someone who can help, and someone you need to see. As they moved through the tunnel, Elliot struggled to keep up, his legs still weak. The path opened into a parking garage with an old motorcycle tucked behind crates. Keanu pulled out two helmets. Ever ride one of these? He asked. Not in a suit, Elliot muttered, looking down at his now wrinkled clothes. Keanu smiled slightly. Better than a coffin. They rode through side streets and alleyways, away from cameras, away from crowds. The city blurred behind them. Keanu took Elliot to a quiet suburban house in a neighborhood that looked forgotten by time. The front porch had peeling paint. The mailbox leaned sideways. It didn't look like a safe house, but once inside, it became clear. Reinforced walls, high-tech screens, hidden cameras. And an old woman sitting calmly at a kitchen table. You're early, she said, looking up without surprise. Keanu nodded. We were forced to move ahead of schedule. She turned to Elliot and smiled kindly. You must be the stubborn one. I'm sorry, do I know you? Elliot asked. You should, she said. I was your mother's best friend, and the person who helped your father build the encryption system around your company's research vault. Elliot's eyes widened. You're Elena Marshall, she nodded. Retired now, but still sharp enough to smell trouble. Keanu explained. What happened at the tower? He showed the footage he'd downloaded from his hidden body cam. The attackers' faces, movements, weapons all analyzed and marked. Elena's face grew serious. This wasn't just a hit, it was a signal. To who? Elliot asked. Keanu stepped forward. To other pharmaceutical CEOs, to scientists, to people who are trying to keep hope alive. They're saying, this is what happens if you don't fall in line. Elliot looked down. He had never imagined saving lives would put his own in danger. I don't want to stop. I can't. Keanu nodded. Good. Because stopping won't save you either. Elena pulled a tablet from a drawer and placed it in front of Elliot. Your vault was pinged 5 minutes after the attack started. They tried to breach the firewall remotely. Elliot swallowed. But they failed. Yes, she said. But it means they had someone inside Nova Biotech. Someone with admin access. The room went silent. A traitor, Elliot whispered. Keanu's single quotes S. Voice was calm but firm. Someone you trust. Meanwhile, across the city, in a tall hotel overlooking the bay, a man in a dark suit stood at the window. He held a phone to his ear. You failed, the voice on the other end said. There was interference. The man replied. A single man, not ordinary. The voice paused. Find him, eliminate him, and get the scientist. The man ended the call. He turned and looked at the small screen showing surveillance from earlier that night. He zoomed in on Keanu's face. Then smiled. I remember you, he whispered. You were one of ours, once, back at Elena's safe house. Elliot sat alone by the window. The weight of the truth pressed on him. Someone close to him had betrayed him. Everything he had worked for, all the children he wanted to save, was hanging by a thread. Keanu joined him quietly. They didn't speak at first. Why do you do this? Elliot finally asked. Keanu looked outside. I've seen too many people die because someone chose money over mercy. I swore I'd never let that happen again. Elliot nodded slowly. What now? He asked. Keanu's eyes narrowed. Now we find the traitor. We shut down the leak. And we hit them back. Hit them back. Keanu stood, not with guns, with truth. And somewhere deep in the night, in an untraceable room filled with black screens and encrypted messages, the leader of Shadow Arc watched the events unfold. and made a decision that would lead to a war no one expected. Asterisk the traitor behind the glassed morning light broke slowly through the clouds, touching the quiet rooftops of Los Angeles, like a secret whispered across the sky. But in the safe house, no one slept. KeanuReeves sat at the edge of the kitchen table, flipping through surveillance footage frame by frame. Elliot Grant paced behind him, the weight of betrayal settling into his bones. "I still can't believe it," Elliot said. "Someone from my team, someone I trusted, sold me out." Keanu didn't look up. Betrayal usually wears a friendly face. Elena Marshall entered the room with coffee, her fingers trembling just slightly. "We can start with the list of executives who had admin-level access to your vault's encryption protocol. It's not long." Elliot stared down at the list. 6 names: his CFO, his head of cybersecurity, his personal assistant, the director of operations, a board member, and his childhood friend, David Cho. He sank into a chair. David would never. Keanu turned to him slowly. "People change, Elliot, especially when money, power, or fear is involved. But David saved my life once," Elliot whispered. "He pulled me out of a car wreck in college, broke his arm doing it." Keanu's voice was calm but cold. "That was then. This is now. We look at everyone, no exceptions." They divided the list. Keanu would personally visit 3 of the names, using cover identities. Elena would run background searches. Elliot would reach out casually to the others, see who flinched when asked the wrong question. Meanwhile, in the shadows of a corporate building downtown, the man who had escaped Keanu's grip the night before was nursing a bruised shoulder and reporting to his superior. "We lost 3. Captured," he said, "and the package protected by a civilian." The man on the screen frowned. "Not civilian." That was KeanuReeves. A long silence followed. "The actor?" the bruised man asked. Confused, the superior's voice turned cold. "No, the soldier. Before Hollywood, before the cameras. He was part of Ghost Unit 12, Black Ops, vanished without a trace after an operation in Kabul." "Why is he protecting the CEO?" "Because someone pulled an old favor, and Keanu honors those. We underestimated him. We won't again." Keanu's first visit was to the Nova Biotech cybersecurity chief, Julian Mars. His office was sterile, full of glowing monitors and mechanical keyboards. Keanu entered under a false name, claiming to be an auditor sent by the board. Julian was polite, but twitchy. "Strange you're here today," Julian said, eyes darting. "After what happened last night." Keanu raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Nothing happened." Julian hesitated. "Oh, just rumors." Double quotes. Keanu leaned in. "You knew there was an attack on the 32nd floor, didn't you?" Sweat formed on Julian's forehead. Keanu pressed further. "Who told you?" Julian swallowed. "No one. Someone in the hallway said security had been compromised." Keanu stood. "You're lying." Julian's hand drifted toward his drawer. "To slow." Keanu single quotes S hand slammed it shut. "Don't," he whispered. Inside the drawer, a burner phone. No number, no contacts. Clean to clean. Keanu placed it in his jacket. "I suggest you take a vacation, Julian," he said quietly. "Somewhere far and fast." Back at the safe house, Elliot called his assistant, Claire, pretending it was a normal day. "Just checking in," he said. "Did anything unusual happen yesterday?" "You mean besides the security breach?" She laughed nervously. "The building was crawling with people in suits this morning." Elliot paused. "How did you hear about that?" "Everyone's talking. They said someone tried to kidnap you. Is that true?" He smiled faintly. "Just rumors. You're okay though." "I'm safe." "Listen, Claire, I need a favor. Can you send me the last week's logs of who accessed the vault remotely?" "Of course," she said. "You still have the secure line?" "Yes." 20 minutes later, the file arrived, and on it, a name that shocked Elliot to his core. David Cho. Accessed the vault at 7:41 p.m., 10 minutes before the attack began. Elliot stared at the screen, heart pounding. He picked up the phone, hands shaking. "Keanu," he said. "It's him. It's David." Keanu was quiet. Then, "Stay where you are. Do not contact him. I'm going in." David Cho lived in a private, high-rise near the marina. Always the polished type, charming, clean-cut. The kind of man who remembered birthdays and hosted fundraisers. Keanu arrived just after sunset, dressed like a delivery man. He knocked. David opened the door casually. Yes. Keanu stared at him. David didn't recognize him at first. Can I help you? He asked. Keanu tilted his head. You betrayed your friend. For what? David's smile froze. Then he laughed. I don't know who you are, but you've got the wrong. Keanu stepped forward, and in one smooth motion pushed David back into his apartment, shutting the door behind them. Sit, Keanu said. David tried to run. Keanu stopped him with one move. Not brutal, just efficient. I know you accessed the vault, Keanu said. I know you contacted Shadow. David's face turned pale. You don't understand. Then help me, Keanu said. Make me understand. David slumped into the chair. They threatened my family, my sister, her little boy. They knew everything, where she lived, where he went to school. Keanu's expression didn't change. They said if I just gave them the firewall codes, no one would get hurt. They said they wouldn't even touch Elliot. You believed them? Keanu asked. David looked away. I was scared. And now I wish I had never picked up that phone, David whispered. Please, is Elliot safe for now? Keanu said. But if they get the formula, it won't matter. David's eyes welled up. What can I do? Keanu paused. Then said, You're going to help us take them down. Later that night, David sat with Keanu and Elena at the safe house. His hands were still trembling. I still have the phone they gave me, he said. They text me through a secret app. I think they're watching me. We'll use that, Keanu said. How? You'll tell them you've made progress. You'll lure them out. Give us a meeting point. And then, Keanu's voice was calm. Then I show them they picked the wrong friend to mess with. In a dark control room thousands of miles away, Shadow's leader leaned forward as the alert flashed. He's alive, one agent said. David Cho made contact. Says he has the formula. The leader smiled slowly. Then it's time we finish what we started. In the shadows of justice, betrayal, and redemption, one man stood between a cure and chaos. Keanu wasn't just saving a CEO anymore. He was stepping into a war far deeper than any battlefield he had ever faced. The message in the breath. Wind howled through the darkened streets as KeanuReeves stood quietly on the rooftop of an old warehouse near the port. Below, waves crashed against the dock, and shadows moved like whispers across the water. The city lights blinked in the distance, but here it felt like another world. Inside the warehouse, the plan was unfolding. David Cho had done what was asked. With shaking hands, he sent a message through the secret app Shadow had given him. Have partial access. Need face-to-face. Alone. No cameras. Midnight. Pier 9. Keanu knew they wouldn't trust David completely, but they would be curious. Shadow didn't leave loose ends. If they believed David had more to give or more to hide, they'd come. Are you sure about this? David asked, adjusting the tiny wire hidden beneath his collar. They're watching me. If they think I'm lying, Keanu interrupted. Don't lie. Tell them just enough truth. And keep your fear real. They'll believe it. What if they kill me? Keanu looked at him, his voice low and steady. Then I'll make sure they regret it. David swallowed hard. At 11:57 p.m., the pier was silent except for the soft hum of a generator somewhere nearby. David stood alone, hands in his pockets, eyes scanning every corner. 3 black SUVs pulled in slowly. The doors opened. 4 figures stepped out. Men in black suits, cold eyes, no names. And then came the 5th, a woman. She wore a long gray coat, high heels, and a calm expression like ice that never melted. Her name was Isabel Kane, ex-intelligence, now one of Shadow's top operatives. She walked toward David. You brought the codes? She asked softly. I only got partial access, David replied, voice trembling. Elliot's firewall is complicated. I need more time. Isabel stared at him. Time is a luxury we don't offer. David's voice cracked. Please, my family, you promised. She raised a hand. You failed once. This is your only chance to fix it." Keanu watched from the rooftop, eyes locked on her every move. He recognized her. They had once been on opposite ends of a mission in Syria. Back then, she worked for a different agency. Now, she had gone completely dark. Beneath the dock, hidden in a sub-tunnel, Elena monitored audio feeds from David's wire. She whispered into the earpiece, "Don't panic. Stall them." David wiped his forehead. "I can show you what I've found. I stored some of the data on an offline drive. I hid it in a safe house. Location?" Isabel asked sharply. "East side, old mechanic's garage, under a false floor." Isabel narrowed her eyes. Keanu tensed. "You're lying," she said suddenly. David flinched. "No, I swear." She pulled a small device from her pocket and pressed a button. A second later, David's phone buzzed. A message appeared. "Safe house is empty. We checked." Isabel single quotes. Eyes turned cold. "Your bait." David backed away. "No." She reached into her coat. But Keanu was already moving. He dropped from the rooftop silently, landing behind the nearest attacker. Two precise strikes, one to the throat, one to the ribs, and the man dropped without a sound. The others turned, drawing weapons. Too late. Keanu moved like water, disarming one, flipping another, using a steel rod from the dock as a shield. A bullet grazed his shoulder, but he didn't stop. David hit the ground, covering his head. Keanu dove between him and Isabel's gunshot. The bullet struck Keanu's arm, just below the shoulder. He grunted but didn't fall. He grabbed David and rolled them both behind a cargo crate. "Stay down," he hissed. "You're bleeding." David stammered. "Better me than you," Keanu said. Isabel was calm, unfazed. She spoke into a device. "Cleanup team. Pier 9 now." Keanu knew what that meant. They weren't just going to kill them. They were going to erase them. He pulled David to his feet and ran. They weaved between containers, climbed up a ladder, and jumped across a broken walkway. Bullets followed, slicing through metal. Keanu's single quotes injured arm was growing numb, but he kept going. They reached the emergency ladder leading to the seawall. Below, a boat engine roared to life. Elena's voice crackled in the earpiece. "Get to the water, fast." Keanu pushed David down first, then followed. They landed hard in the small boat. A teenage boy at the wheel grinned. "You must be Keanu," he said. "Your friend's fast with tech, but slow with names." "I'm Lucas." Keanu nodded once. They sped off into the night. Behind them, the pier exploded. The blast lit up the sky. Elena had triggered the diversion remotely. The charges weren't meant to kill, just to buy time. But the fireball would make headlines. Mystery explosion at downtown pier. No casualties reported. Back at the safe house, Elliot stared at the news feed. His hands trembled as he read the words. "This is bigger than I thought," he whispered. "They're not just after me. They want everything." Keanu, arm now wrapped in a bandage, sat across from him. "They're afraid," he said. "You didn't just create a cure. You created hope. That's more dangerous to them than any weapon." "Then what do we do?" Elliot asked. Keanu leaned forward. "We give the world the truth, and we do it fast." Later that night, Keanu sat alone outside under the stars. His shoulder throbbed. His mind was heavy. Elena joined him with 2 mugs of tea. "You could have let him die," she said softly. "You didn't." Keanu stared into the distance. "I've seen too many people die for the wrong reasons. Not this time." "This fight," she said, "it's not just theirs anymore. It's yours too, isn't it?" Keanu nodded. "It always was." Deep in a shadow arc command center, Isabel stood before a wall of screens. "We underestimated him," one agent said. "Then we correct that," Isabel replied. On the screen, a file opened. Operation Black Horizon. Objective: neutralize target KeanuReeves. Capture Elliot Grant. Retrieve full cure protocol. And under it, the mission status changed from pending to active. The storm was coming, but Keanu was ready to meet it head-on. The cure and the countdown. Room was silent except for the soft clicking of Elena's keyboard. Maps, files, and surveillance feeds lit up the monitors across the safehouse walls. Elliot Grant stood beside her, arms crossed, his eyes red from exhaustion. KeanuReeves entered the room, his injured shoulder stiff but ignored. He walked with a calm strength like a storm that had learned patience. Beside him, David Cho held a tablet, scanning lines of code. "They're moving fast," David said. "The dark web is lighting up. Word is, Shadow Arc has given a 72-hour deadline. If they don't get the formula, they're going to hit Nova Biotech hard." "What do you mean hit?" Elliot asked. "Physically," David said. "A coordinated cyber attack paired with a physical breach. Their goal isn't just to steal the formula now. They want to destroy your research, your entire legacy." Keanu stepped forward. "Unless we make the first move." Elena looked up. "You want to go on the offensive?" Keanu nodded. "No more hiding. No more running. We give them exactly what they want. A reason to panic." Keanu's plan was simple, but dangerous. Step 1. Find the main access node used by Shadow Arc to coordinate their internal operations. It was a mobile command center, a moving van disguised as a food delivery truck that rotated across the city. Step 2. Force them to believe the cure had already been shared with global health agencies, leaked to trusted scientists in over 20 countries. Step 3. Bait them into exposing their command structure. Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "How do you plan to do that?" Keanu's eyes narrowed. "We give them a choice. Disappear or be exposed." That afternoon, Keanu met with an old contact at a flower shop. The woman behind the counter smiled as she handed him a bouquet, but her eyes were sharp. "You always show up bleeding," she said. Keanu smirked. "You always pretend to be retired." She handed him a small flash drive hidden inside the wrapping. "This will let you tap into their frequency once you're within 5 feet of their command node." "Thank you," Keanu said. "Don't thank me yet," she replied. "They've evolved. You slip once, they'll erase you. Then I won't slip." The command truck was located the next evening, parked near a tech conference in downtown Los Angeles. It looked harmless, but inside, agents were coordinating signals, monitoring Keanu's movements, and watching Nova Biotech's internal systems for weaknesses. Keanu approached from the south, blending in with the crowd. He wore a delivery uniform, sunglasses, and a cap. He pushed a dolly with a fake crate labeled conference supplies. As he passed the van, he brushed the back door. "Ping. Connection made." Elena's voice crackled in his earpiece. "We're in mapping their entire relay structure now. Keep moving." Keanu continued walking. Inside the van, an alarm blinked. "Unauthorized scan detected," one of the agents said. "Find it," Isabel Kane ordered. "Now, 10 blocks away." In the safe house, Elena's fingers danced across her keyboard. "I've got a list of 5 core command points," she said. "But one stands out. An isolated island off the coast. No records, no ownership trail. Pure ghost zone." Keanu's voice was steady. "That's their center. You're not going there alone." Elliot said. Keanu turned to him. "You have to stay here. If something happens to me, you'll still have time to release the formula." "What if they intercept me again?" Elliot asked. "What if they find me?" Keanu looked him in the eyes. "Then we both go, but we bring the world with us." The next morning, Keanu and Elliot boarded a small boat with Lucas, the teenage tech-savvy son of one of Elena's old contacts. The sea was rough, but quiet. No one spoke much. As they neared the island, thick fog surrounded them. "We're losing signal," Lucas said. "I can't guarantee backup once you go in." Keanu nodded. "Understood." "How do you even know this is the right place?" Elliot asked. Keanu opened a folder. Inside was a satellite photo of the island, its coastline marked with a faint red glow. Invisible to the naked eye but visible in infrared, they left a heat trail. Keanu said, "Machines can't lie." They docked quietly. Keanu led the way, his boots silent on the wet sand. Elliot followed closely. Heart-pounding. They reached an old bunker built into the side of a cliff. Keanu placed his hand on the metal. They're inside. Within the bunker, Isabel Kane stood before a wall of servers. "They're here," she said calmly. "I want them alive." "Why?" another agent asked. "Because when the world sees Elliot Grant confess on camera that his cure was a fraud, you'll have control," the agent finished, "and no one will ever question us again." Keanu and Elliot moved through the narrow tunnels, avoiding cameras. Guided by Elena's partial blueprints and memory, they reached the central chamber. But it was empty. To quiet, Keanu stopped. Trap, he said. Doors slammed shut behind. Then gas hissed from vents. Elliot stumbled. Keanu grabbed his hand and pulled out a hidden knife from his boot. He jammed it into the vent panel and forced it open. He tore off part of his sleeve and wrapped it around Elliot's face, then did the same for himself. Hold on, he said. He kicked down a side panel in the wall, revealing an escape chute. They slid through just as the gas filled the chamber. They landed hard in a water tunnel below the base. Keanu pulled Elliot up. We keep going. You said this was a rescue mission, Elliot gasped. But we're walking into a suicide mission. We're not here to win, Keanu said. We're here to expose them. Above. Isabel watched the monitors flicker. They escaped. Her agent said. She clenched her jaw. Seal the island. Release Protocol C. The alarm blared. Self-destruct sequence armed. 30 minutes. Keanu and Elliot found the central control room at the heart of the island. Servers glowed. Files loaded. Backups stored. Keanu activated the drive his contact gave him. It began downloading everything: names, bank accounts, government ties, contracts, orders of assassination, and proof of Shadow Ark's control over the pharmaceutical black market. This is it, Elliot whispered. This is the evidence. We have to get it out, Keanu said. Elena's voice buzzed through a fading signal. I'm losing you. Get to the east antenna. That's your only shot at sending the data. The island shook as the countdown ticked. Keanu and Elliot ran. Outside, the antenna stood on a high cliff, wind whipping hard. Keanu connected the drive. Elena's voice, I'm receiving. It's coming through slow, but steady. 20%, 40, 60, gunshots echoed. Agents charged up the hill. Keanu turned, drew a small sidearm, and took cover. Elliot kept the drive in place. Double quotes go, Elliot yelled. I'll hold it. You're not a soldier, Keanu shouted back. No, Elliot said. But I believe in what we're doing, and that has to be worth something. 90%, 98. Complete. The drive blinked green. Signal sent. Evidence released. Shadow Ark's secrets now flooded the secure inboxes of health ministries, news organizations, and whistleblower sites around the world. Keanu grabbed Elliot's arm. Now we run. They dove off the cliff just as the bunker behind them exploded in a massive blast. The sky turned red with fire. The island burned. But the truth had survived. Later that night, in newsrooms across the globe, journalists stared in shock as the files unfolded. Secret recordings, signed orders, blackmail, and the plan to kill Elliot Grant. Headlines exploded. World stunned by pharmaceutical conspiracy leak. Actor Keanu Reeves identified as protector of CEO. Shadow Ark exposed. Global manhunt begins. But Keanu was already gone. Like a shadow into the wind. He had done his job. Not for glory. Not for credit. But because the world needed to remember one thing: when good people stay silent, darkness wins. But when even one man chooses to stand up, everything can change. The world after the storm. Sun rose slowly over the Los Angeles skyline, casting golden light across rooftops and alleyways, as if the city itself was waking from a long nightmare. But this morning was different. The world had changed. The headlines were everywhere. Shadow Ark exposed. Global conspiracy unraveled. Keanu Reeves risked his life to protect humanity's greatest cure. CEO Elliot Grant speaks out. We must never be afraid to do what's right. 10 homes, offices, hospitals, and schools across the planet. People read the same story. A hidden war had been fought in silence, and it had ended with a cure and a truth the world never saw coming. In a quiet recovery ward of a private hospital, Elliot Grant sat on a balcony overlooking a small garden. His arm was bandaged, his ribs bruised, but his spirit felt strangely free. Beside him sat Keanu Reeves, shoulders still wrapped, wearing the same plain hoodie he'd worn since day one. Neither of them spoke for a while. The wind moved gently through the trees. I thought I was going to die on that island, Elliot finally said. Keanu looked forward. We both almost did, but the truth got out. Keanu nodded. You did it, Elliot said. Keanu turned to him. No, we did it, and the world did the rest, across the globe. The files leaked from the destroyed island had triggered a storm of investigations. Several government officials were arrested. Top executives in 3 pharmaceutical giants stepped down. Hidden accounts were frozen. Secret labs were uncovered. Shadow Ark's global network began to crumble. Isabel Kane vanished. No trace, no sightings, but her silence only made one thing clear: this wasn't over forever. Only for now. In the days that followed, Elliot made a bold decision. He released the full formula for the cancer cure to the world open access. No patents, no fees, no restrictions. It was uploaded to a public database. Doctors and scientists across dozens of countries began producing the treatment locally. Within weeks, the first batch reached a small clinic in Uganda, the next to a children's hospital in Brazil, and then to rural areas in India, Korea, Peru, and Eastern Europe. Hundreds of children who once had no chance now had hope. Mothers cried in doctors' arms. Fathers knelt in silence, overwhelmed. For the first time in a long time, humanity remembered what it meant to care for one another without price tags. Meanwhile, back at the safe house, Elena Marshall watched the news with tired eyes and a warm heart. Her hand trembled slightly as she lifted her tea. Lucas, her tech-savvy assistant, smiled as he pointed to the screen. "Look at this, Elena. It's spreading faster than anyone imagined." "Truth has a habit of doing that," she said softly. Keanu didn't return to his old life. He didn't go back to movie sets or cameras or red carpets. He disappeared again. Some said they saw him boarding a train in Istanbul. Others claimed he was working anonymously in conflict zones, helping children escape war. No one could say for sure. But Elliot knew. One afternoon, months after the truth changed the world, he received a small envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside it was a photo. A group of children in a war-torn village smiling beside a man in a hoodie. A man with quiet eyes and gentle hands. On the back of the photo was a single line written in pencil: "Hope doesn't retire." Elliot held the photo to his chest and closed his eyes. Years later, a new global foundation was formed, the Reeves Grant Initiative. Its mission: provide open access cures, support whistleblowers, and protect scientists working for humanity, not profit. It was funded by donations, volunteers, and one anonymous contributor whose name never appeared on a list, but whose legacy was known in every heart the initiative touched. In a small beach town in Portugal, a girl once left for dead by cancer now ran across the sand, laughing, her hair grown back, her smile bright. Her mother watched with tears streaming down her cheeks. In her hand was a worn newspaper clipping. "Keanu Reeves protects the man who saved her life one night," a television host asked Elliot Grant during an interview. "If you could say one thing to Keanu Reeves now, what would it be?" Elliot smiled. "I'd say thank you. Not just for saving my life, but for reminding me how to live it." And somewhere in the shadows, where no cameras reached, a man walked alone through a crowded street. He held no phone. Wore no brand, carried no fame. Just peace. Because Keanu Reeves had once fought for the world in silence. And that silence changed everything.